I want to ask, would you get abortion? Would you get an unsafe abortion? Let's say this is like...
That's so risky because then my life is at risk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But let's say this is... I don't know. Let's just say this is your current situation, your life right now. And this was consensual. So welcome to Too Many Thoughts and Too Many Problems. I am your host, Will Lee, and we have the one and only Taz. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. It was really fun last time. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, a lot of people enjoyed you. I just wanted to let you know, like, a lot of people are like, I really like Taz.
Oh,
like, bring her
thank
back.
you.
Yeah. So I was like, of course, I like her too. I really like your dating stories too.
I'm glad you found amusement in them.
Yeah,
they're fun stories to tell. Yeah,
they are fun. I like them, but I hope like it doesn't happen to you more. You know, like I hope. Yeah.
Thank you.
Those bastards. But today, where did you come from today?
From my house, but it's kind of far.
Oh, yeah. How long does it take you to get here?
Like almost an hour.
Really?
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah. Hopefully I can like, buy mics. I want to like start my own like little studio, and then that way you can like move the mics around to like certain different locations and be more convenient for everyone.
Wow, that's so cool.
That would be nice.
What do you need for that to happen? Maybe the viewers can help. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I need more mics. Yeah, I need to buy mics. Mics are kind of expensive, quality ones. Yeah, but eventually we'll get there. Yeah,
I was looking into mics because I wanted to sing, and they're expensive.
Yeah, they're so expensive,
so,
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe not. I just go to Norebang and sing.
Oh yeah. That works.
Yeah, exactly. So today, recently in recent events, there has been a lot of chaos, especially in America. And I mean, I think a lot of people know what it is already, but it's basically the abortion rights for women. I guess abortion rights in general are being revoked. The Roe versus Wade. Yeah, and so I think it's a very touchy subject, a very complicated subject to like really dive into. I don't know if complicated is the exact word, because ideally it should be simple. Just give the rights, right? Just give abortion rights. Like it shouldn't be complicated.
You would think so, yeah. You would think it's just common sense,
but apparently not. But I do want to like, I guess, apologize ahead of time for myself if I am like ignorant to any of the information or like lack of knowledge for this, because I don't know a lot about it as much as I guess I should maybe. But yeah, before we get into that topic, I do just want to put that out there. So I'm going to try my best to kind of like learn more about it and speak from a perspective that is like more open or sympathetic or empathetic to the situation. Yeah,
same with me. Like, I'm not an expert on abortion or the laws, particularly in the States. I'm also from Canada, so like I don't really know too much. But like I do, I just wanted to share my thoughts and like and then explore your thoughts around it too. Yeah,
and I think it's important too, because like just everyday people to share and talk about this type of thing, like especially this important subject, to get it out there so that people have a better perspective on it, right? Yeah.
So when I was looking into it, because I wanted to kind of know what that whole like law was, the Roe versus Wade, right? And when I looked online, it was in 1970. So for the people that don't know, there was a woman. They used the like what is that, was like a not her real name, just to keep her safe. So Jane Roe, like she took Henry Wade, which was like an attorney person in Texas, to court, and she wanted to she wanted to challenge the law around abortion. And so from what I read, the abortion law in Texas was like very vague, and and with this law that's being overturned, right? It impeded on human rights, basically, a woman's right to choose or any like bodily autonomy, right? And so when she challenged, yeah.
Do you know like how vague it was by chance?
I don't know how vague it was, but like she challenged it and said like it went against the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the 9th and 14th. Okay. So the court at that time was like, yeah, like this doesn't seem that fair. So then what happened after that was they said in the first 3 months, like first trimester, the woman has like every right to choose what she wants to do with her body. And I think she should always have the choice.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be like, oh, hey, here's your time frame.
Yeah,
you can do what your body, and then after that, your body is ours.
Yeah, so at that time, like again, like what they're doing now, abortion was illegal in Texas at that time, and then so at least that gave women the ability to still choose. Again, that's like the minimum, and then the second trimester, the woman could still like the government could impose but it had to be around the health of the woman, like if it made sense for her maternal health. And then the third trimester, when the fetus is viable, then the state could impose and inhibit, and
for whatever reason.
Yeah, for not doing the abortion, right? So they could do that. But so with this being overturned, now it's like as soon as you're pregnant, you cannot get an abortion. And so what are your thoughts on that when you hear that?
I think that I just don't understand. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I've always been the type of person who, like, if you believe, you can believe in whatever you want, or you can be however you want, as long as it doesn't, like, hurt someone, like me or other people. Like, it doesn't really matter. You can do whatever. And like, and I guess in this situation, you can do whatever you want with your body as well. Like, it's your body, then you should be able to do what you want with it. Right.
Yeah.
And I also think that, like, I don't understand why would you want to impose someone to, because people are going to get abortions anyways. Right. So why would you want people to get unsafe abortions?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So I was trying to kind of wrap my head around this whole thing. Like, why are people in positions of power, usually like white men, like why are
white rich men?
Yeah. Why are they so obsessed with controlling bodies of women?
Yeah. Specifically women's bodies, right?
Yeah. And so I was kind of like thinking about this and looking into it, and I saw some posts that kind of like made me think differently and understand a bit more. It's like, so the first thing I was thinking about was this has always been happening in a patriarchal society, and with it like benefits the economy. Like I relate it back to capitalism, and for me it makes sense why it's happening in America, where it's like highly capitalistic. And I found out that there is no paid family leave, or and if
it's like very minimal.
If there is, it's to the basically the top 10% income earners, and what that does is like, you know, like it's putting people in poverty, so they have to work and survive and not think about the system and how messed up it is. And then it continues to fuel capitalism because you have cheap labor, right? And it does impact women, but especially women of color and vulnerable people, Black, Indigenous, BIPOC people, right? So it keeps I feel like it's always been, yeah, like you said, like who has access to this now? And if they do have access, I feel like it's divided into race and class.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. So do you think then it's just a matter, it has always been just a matter between race and economic standings then?
I feel so. The states that have already started putting regulations around with abortion and stuff primarily have been the South and Midwest, where there's a higher concentration of like people of low wages, right? And often those are women of color. And by keeping these women in like constant survival mode, they have to work low wages to survive. And then the cycle of poverty continues because that child grows up in a low income family, therefore is taken away from, like opportunities to get out of that system. And I find even giving birth is expensive. I didn't know because like in the States, I heard like if you give it's called C-section, right?
Yes.
Is that how you say?
A C-section.
C-section. If you don't do that, it's already like $4,300.
Yeah.
And if you do that, it's like $5,000 something. And I was like, what the fuck? How do you afford that?
Yeah.
And then if you're already in a low income situation, how do you afford to take time off work to take care of the kid?
You don't, essentially, right? You just give it to your, like, I don't know, aunt, uncle, friend, uncle, or you.
Yeah.
In some cases, you abandon them, right?
Exactly. And then safe access, because as you were saying, women, desperate times, if they don't want the abortion, if they want an abortion, they're probably going to go somewhere to get it.
Right.
And my friend who worked in Canada, she worked at the Women's Center, and a lot of women that were coming to get abortions, again, like they came because a botched abortions or something. They didn't have like proper care for it, and then they actually had to abort because of that. And they were facing barriers. So even in Canada, there's like barriers to has access. You have to navigate the health system. You have to have the money to travel and be of certain areas.
Right.
And even then, women's bodies are still regulated. Yeah. Like Indigenous people in Canada are still being forced or coerced into sterilization.
Oh God.
So like this thing it's been continuing, right? And with any kind of problems, it's always like the people who are most vulnerable affected.
Yeah. I don't know. It's always like it's always the rich people who continue to benefit from it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes me really upset. It makes me sad. Do you think that like it has to do with religious purposes as well?
Yeah, I was gonna just bring that up.
Right.
I actually like wrote notes because I wanted to like make sure I got some important things that I found, and one of them was religion, right?
Okay.
And it was basically. So I wanted to read this to you. There's a person on Instagram. Their name is Butchware, and he posted something about like where like after decades of criticizing the Sharia law and making a huge scare from the Muslim community, white nationalists and evangelicans?
Evangelicans?
Yes, instituted their religion into a law.
Oh.
Like this law.
Really?
Yeah, so making abortions illegal. So it's interesting how religion is now playing into this whole thing based on who has power, and often who has power end up being from a certain place. Right? And so like there's so many multitudes of layers in this whole thing. And I think religion definitely plays a huge role in this becoming institutionalized.
But why? I thought we were supposed to have a separate body, you know?
Yeah. Again, I relate it back to capitalism again, like and keeping certain groups in power, right? If there's a delay in if a woman can delay her abortion, she's able to make more money, and then maybe start to do work in higher positions of power, right? And then maybe get into places like I feel like we need more women of color in positions of power,
right?
And I think it's so important. And I think like these old white men don't want that, right? They want to keep being in power. So by continuously putting laws that impact women, right, and keeping them in survival mode, low wages, they can't get into those positions of power.
And they will never be able to change the system and continue like these old white people will have their kids become like the top tier, and then the system will continue, and then their like rulings and their names will continue down in history, and they'll continue to rule USA.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, okay. That makes a lot of sense when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah.
Because it's like there has always been a power balance, like a power struggle between, especially in America. Okay, so yeah, we got a little bit of interruptions because I guess he needed to check the audio file for our podcast, but we're back on. Okay. So I want to ask you, with everything in mind, how do you think that this affects you personally?
So I'm going to talk about like the impact America's media has,
right,
in just around the world. I think so. In Canada, when Trump actually took power, it empowered a lot of white nationalists, and all
over the world.
Yeah, and in Calgary, where I'm from, the white nationalists came together, stormed to the city hall, and told people of color to get out of the country.
Wow.
And so that, like, actually for once when I was in Canada, I started to actually get scared of living there based on my physical appearance as, like, a barrier so, like, prominently, like, in front of my face, right?
Yeah.
It was really cool to see, like, our Indigenous communities, like, step in and other, like, people of color. And it was really powerful when the Indigenous community was like, no, you guys need to get up. Our country.
Yeah, this is ours.
Yeah.
Like what are you talking about, bro?
Right, exactly. Like the audacity for the white folks to think they own the North Americas, Turtle Island, including America, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like, what I'm thinking now is that it's going to give power again to anti-choicers or like pro-life people and really feel that. And I'm concerned about how that's going to take over and how many protests are we going to see, and which governments are going to come into power, because in Canada we have there's a conservative government, and I think it was like 70 or 80%, I'm not entirely sure, had like pro-life choice views, right? So if they become in power, I wonder if it will also
push that agenda forward.
Exactly. And my question also, like, Will, what do you think? Like, do you really think this is about life?
No way. There's no way that this is about life. Like, if this was about life, then, there are so many other incidents, especially gun laws. Like, that's just like directly, they're right in line to each other. The news have been having right in line to each other. And
go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. It's just like, if you really care about life, then maybe we should have done something about the gun laws like 100 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But yet we continue to say, hey, guns are our rights, even though so many incidents where death and the life of someone has been lost due to guns being involved, and we still don't do anything. And then we're going to come in and step in and say, hey, we're pro-life all of a sudden for these kids to, for you to bear kids because we're pro-life. And then what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to let them get killed by guns anyways.
Yeah, in schools, right?
Right.
That's the thing. Like, if I find it mind-boggling that guns have more protection than women do, and women are like, we're living creatures. Like, I just don't understand why guns are such a big deal, but the right for a woman or a person to have just autonomy over their body is such a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a really good segue to what my friend and I actually talked about recently. So when this was all coming out, she wore this T-shirt back in Canada, and it said, "If fertilized eggs are seen as more human than refugees, we have a problem."
Right.
Right. If we do really care about pro-life, why aren't we defunding the police where there's killing unarmed Black men or brown bodies? Right. So where is that going? If it really is about pro-life, then why aren't you investing money into childcare?
Yeah.
I found when I was like looking through this stuff, because I was really trying to understand, like, why would you even do this? United States is at the bottom of like quote unquote developed nations on investment in childcare,
healthcare in general.
Yes,
like just anything that involves actual pro-life, that involves supporting life, right?
Exactly.
And yet we continue to speak as if we are pro-life when it comes to abortion.
Exactly. Yeah.
But in reality, it's just they just want control. They just want control and they just want power.
Yeah, they want to continue their control over women and then continue low-wage workers to have no choice.
Continue to be low-wage workers.
Yeah, and be stuck in a system that just benefits the wealthy.
Yeah. And there's so many reasons that we can argue against abortion. Right? Against the laws for abortion.
Right? Yeah.
Like we can say, like, you know, safe abortion will save a lot of lives. It will save a lot of women's lives. You know, you can say that abortion isn't like people say like don't get abortions because if we make abortion available, they're just gonna abort all their kids all the time. It's like, no, it's not that easy. You know, there's no way. Like, I can't speak exactly empathetic for this, but there's no way that I think that people can just give up a life that is in their body so easily, right? Like, I've heard of people reading like through Instagram and stuff, how people still suffer like traumatic memories or like feelings from aborting a child, you know, and they still feel sad about it. They still feel guilty for it, right? People just don't like say, I'm gonna get aborted. But like, there's all these reasons that we can argue against this, yet they're still gonna just be like, no, we're not gonna listen to anything you say, and we're just gonna continue to put us in power, you know? So I don't think that it's for pro-life at all whatsoever. Like, this has nothing to do with pro-life.
No, it's just an agenda of the rich.
Right.
Like keeping companies rich
and
white folks to stay in power.
Yeah.
Honestly, that. I feel like that's my take on it.
So then what do you think that like, so let's give an example. If, like, say you got pregnant with this current situation, what would you do? Just hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, and that's the hard part is like, is it wanted or unwanted, right? And the thing is so each state gets to choose how they regulate,
right.
And doctors are now placed in doctors and nurses are placed in very dire moral situations,
right.
Because the woman legit has to be dying for them to allow the abortion. Otherwise, they'll be in jail.
In terms of their morality and then like legally.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I'm not capable of having a kid, let's say I'm in poverty. I didn't want this child, and I can't abort. And like, so this child will then grow up in a home where we're struggling to feed and care for their education. And if I didn't want this child, let's say, like, what if I was raped, right? And I don't want this kid. I'm going to have resentment of this child. So emotionally, their needs are not being met. Financially, we're both struggling. And then they go on to have like a difficult life. So then what kind of life are we then allowing to exist or promoting to exist because of these laws? That's what I would think of. And there's some medical conditions where you have to get an abortion, otherwise the woman will die.
Yep.
So if medical professionals can't do that because they're scared, they will lose your license, end up in jail, pay a whole bunch of fine. Like, how many people's lives will be in danger, and how many are actually gonna die?
Yeah. And there's some situations where the fetus is like, at birth, they would die. So while they're in the 9 months processing, they're just suffering the entire time.
Exactly.
They're just suffering the entire time until at birth, and then they die.
Yeah, and then what happens if you have a miscarriage? Like, you have to take that out.
Yeah.
And that's seen as, like, that's abortion, right? So what happens with that? So, like, I think it's so backwards, and I'm just concerned why we're still having these types of conversations now in 2022.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because in one of the previous podcasts, we talked about how, like, backwards Korea can be sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, America is like, yo, we got to top Korea off. Let's see how backwards we can be instead of Koreans.
Yo, no offense. I know this is going to be bad, but, like, I never saw what the hype was of America. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Like, just
I get that.
from that.
I get that.
I know, like, a lot of countries have this, like, vision of America, and America is seen as a world power. So it's just, like, so that's why I'm worried. Like, this has so much implications, because this freaking powerhouse is doing so much things that are just, like, so backward that makes no sense to me whatsoever. And they have the audacity to go into other countries and be like, actually, like, you should do these things this way. Let me liberate you. Let me do this, and then freaking take over through, like,
I think,
violence of war, right?
Yeah.
Because they have the right to judge other countries on how they operate.
I don't think I don't know. Maybe Americans do realize it, but I feel like they don't realize how much influence that they have over just the world in general.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, how the world tries to strive towards a certain agenda of progress, I guess, of society. And I just don't think they realize that, like what you're saying with Trump rising back up and the entire world is white supremacists rising up.
Yeah.
And again, like this, like, it's gonna push an agenda that says, hey, you know, abortion is wrong. You know, it's really frustrating that Americans just don't see this. Like, it's really frustrating for me for people to be so selfish that, like, especially rich white folks who to be just so selfish and, like, continue to want to be that rich. Like, how rich do you need to be before it's like, oh, I gotta put a person's life first?
I think that's what happens when you have a country so extreme on capitalism, because it promotes individualism, and all you ever think about is yourself over others. Yeah. So you don't think collectively. You don't care about the benefits of other people, or even, like, the like humanity in the planet, because you want to capitalize on everything: resources, women's bodies, people of color's bodies, anything to continue to promote your own wealth and your family's generational wealth. And you don't care. So I think we need to reshift this entire system of, like, capitalism into more of, like, a middle ground of somewhere, because this is not working. Like, people's lives are at stake.
Yeah. It's just like, you know, like Brian said, like, you know, some people will just never understand until, like, they experience it in their own shoes. And so I made, like, a joke, but, like, at this point, maybe it's not a joke. Maybe they need to suffer, you know, like, as bad as that. I'm not, like, this is no threat in any way. Like, I'm not trying to threaten anyone, but, like, maybe they do need that experience for them to, like, maybe comprehend the bit of, like, the bit of damage that they're doing to the world, to the society that they're living in, you know?
Do you think these powerhouses, like, so a lot of these governments in the States or parties, right, they're controlled by business institutions.
Yeah, like big money.
Yeah, big money. So do you think these big money people will actually suffer?
I don't think that I don't think that there will ever be enough punishment, I guess, in a way, for them to ever make a real change, per se. It's because I think some people will just continue to hold on to their wealth until the very end of their days.
Yeah, that's why sometimes I kind of, like,
we sometimes just need them to die off. Like, they just need to die. You know?
I this is sometimes why I get like sad of humanity. And that's why I try to like do those like story times on my page where I'm just like trying to remind myself of happy things or good things people do.
Yeah.
Because like greed, as long as there's greed, I don't think like I don't know how this is gonna change. Like if you look back on history of humanity, it's been violent, it's been greedy. I think we are making slow steps to being more like equitable and inclusive, and the young folks do give me a bit more hope. But that's why it's so important of like these power systems have to change, because what ideology is getting taught to these kids, and if these kids are coming from families that want to hoard money and want to like profit off of
the poor,
the poor and stuff like that, then
they will continue.
They'll continue this cycle. The cycle is just gonna keep going.
Yeah, but that's what I'm scared of. Is that like, you know, we say that the younger generation is like, there is hope and we do see like a little bit slow change, but then all it takes is like this one little step back.
That's so true.
Like we can like make all these little progressions, but then one step back and it's like all of a sudden we're back to down here.
Yeah,
you know?
like this whole conversation, like why are we still stuck here?
Yeah.
Like why are women still fighting?
Right.
For
rights.
For rights, yeah. Like
right.
At the end of the day, we're humans too. Like I just don't get it.
How are guns more? It's just again.
Yeah.
How is an object
worth more?
Maybe it's okay. I'm not trying to be rude here, but maybe because women and objects are the same in these people's eyes, and so they're just like, oh, I like this object better than this object.
Yeah.
But how are objects more important than a person's life? You know?
Yeah, they're not pro-life. Like if they were pro-life, I would think then they would invest, like we were talking about, defund police, freaking take out the guns.
Yeah.
And like also do paid leave. Like there's
right. Like healthcare. Just healthcare.
Yeah. Bro, when I was looking this up, it's like they were the only out of the 7 nations that didn't have paid like policy, like the family policy, paid leave.
Yeah.
The policy
paid
for
leave. Yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised. I thought every country.
No, Americans don't have it. We don't. You know, Korea, like when they give birth, they can. When a mom gives birth, like the mom can leave for essentially a year.
Yeah.
And the dad would leave for like the half a year just to take care of the kids.
I think that's so amazing. And they have incredible care, I heard, for the women in the hospitals.
Yeah.
For the time after they've given birth.
That's pro-life.
Yeah.
That is pro-life.
This is like nothing.
This is not pro-life. Yeah, Americans are not pro-life.
No, they're not.
At least not our government. You know?
Yeah, no. Yeah, because I think a lot of Americans did, in the survey, did say that they wanted abortions to be available.
Yeah, but the percentage when the vote for the law to pass, most Americans wanted to vote that for abortion to be legal. The percentage was higher.
Higher, yeah.
But in this very specific niche case, somehow they got like overwritten. I don't know the exact reason why, but it got overwritten and like it passed. It somehow passed.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't understand. Like many of us don't understand. And yeah, I just think that because it passed, I feel like that's just going to turn everyone back down. Like it's going to change people to think that maybe abortion is wrong. You know?
I fear for also women's safety, like through the whole process, but like if they're ever raped, harassed, I don't know. It's already hard for a woman to come out and say their stories about harassment and stuff like that, and then so because if you're raped, it doesn't matter. And incest, like if a freaking family member does something to rape you, like what happens then? Like there's no protection, and that's just the scariest thing because now people are gonna be like, I can get away with it, like I don't care.
Yeah, it basically again undermines the life and value of women.
Yeah. Right? I am very surprised. No, I'm not that surprised that this is happening. I'm just like, I wonder what's going to be next, you know, like.
Yeah, I was going to say I was surprised too, but it's not that surprising.
For me, it was not that surprising. It's coming from the States.
Yeah, right.
Because like, I don't know. There's just some whack stuff happening
with gun laws.
Yeah.
Trump and just everything.
Yeah, the violence,
the violence,
with the police,
Asian hate, police brutality.
Yes.
It's just like one thing after another.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the scary thing is like for me too. Canada's not far behind in that stuff too. I think like for Canadians, like we need to push for accessible abortions and make sure like the pro-life movement does not take over. Because like I don't know if did you experience this when you were in university, the pro-life people that came.
A lot of those pro-lifers would just come onto campus and start like spouting all this stuff, and it's usually like religious too. So
I was so surprised, like why is that allowed and then other religion are criminalized if they were ever to do something this way. Right? So I think there's so many layers of privilege of which community can get away with what.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's usually like white Christians or what is it called?
Evangelists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Catholics, like men.
Yeah.
Just get away with so much.
Yeah, they just do. I don't know why this entire world is so obsessed with white, blonde hair, blue-eyed people.
Oh
like,
my God.
what the
I could
heck?
go on about that for like so long. Like once my
Hitler,
eyes open to that. Yeah. Why?
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, your anime.
Go from Hitler to Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Your anime has some.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's not perfect. I don't know. It's not a standard of beauty that is like has priority. It just isn't.
I think that's like the residue of colonization. Like it just never, like that's how impactful it was, and over the generations of keeping that power in place, and Hollywood, all of that media thing continuously
like subliminal messaging
you that like white, blue, blonde hair, whatever is the standard of beauty, and whiteness is like at the top, right?
And specifically white Americans.
Yeah.
Or white men, white men's.
Specifically at the top. I think if we just like continue, like as a group, like the BIPOC folks, like people of color, queer folks, and everybody just keep coming together, I think we can outnumber, right?
I definitely can.
Yeah.
We definitely can outnumber, but the problem is that
a lot of us don't have power.
That's the biggest problem, right? Like a lot of us don't have the power to do that.
And if they do invite us to the table, it's tokenized folks, and it's people that that are
bought out.
Yeah,
essentially bought out.
And palatable for their tongues to taste. Like if you are too outspoken, you're kicked out. Like you can't last. So like it's whatever they think can come to the table.
Like, oh, you can only say these like phrases that are like they're not pushing the limits too much, but they are like right there on the limit, and that's okay for us because we can say all these things and it will just counter whatever you say, or
Yeah, and then they'll have the diversity quotient filled. They're like, oh look, we have this like person, this East Asian person, this South Asian person, this Black person, this Indigenous person, but like these people still don't like they fit their agenda. So yeah, exactly.
I don't understand this stuff. Even in Korea, man, like Koreans love white people.
There's an obsession with I was just thinking, I'm like, why are people so obsessed with in Korea there's a lot of people that are obsessed with America and then obsessed with white people.
Yeah.
like a mediocre like white person is just seen as like wow, and then a lot of them do come because
they know that
they do better here for their like seen as more attractive, more competent, and some of these people think like they deserve this because they've worked hard for it, but not really. You just had your door is way like you started at a like the line is here and we're starting here, so it's not truly your hard work.
Yeah.
And I think when white people are more critical to their privilege, the allyship can be better. Right. And create spaces and just realize like, no, maybe it was not really fully all me. It's just the set of privilege that I have.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, this isn't a white hate
No.
It's just like
it's critiquing the system
critiquing
that keeps
the system.
the power of a certain group in place.
Yeah.
Right? It's not saying, it's not hating on white folks. It's just hating on a system that makes certain people have more access to a better life, or just generally.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to ask, would you get abortion? Would you get an unsafe abortion? Let's say this is like...
That's so risky, because then my life is at risk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But let's say this is... I don't know. Let's just say this is your current situation, your life right now, and this was consensual.
This was consensual.
Yeah, this is consensual.
Honestly, for me, if it is consensual, then I had made the choice of wanting to have a child. Right?
Really, at this moment in your lifetime, like if this was consensual, like sex, but not that you wanted to have a child, sort of like. Does that make sense?
I would really panic, and then the thing is, like, there's also my cultural background around this too, that would affect my decision, because like I would also think, okay, so I've had this, I would definitely talk to it with my family, and I think my family would definitely be angry that I am gonna have a child now with like not enough financial background to take care of the kid, but because of where they're coming from, they would not want me to, and they would probably offer for me to get their support and get taken care of. And that's my privilege, right? If I didn't have this privilege, I would think otherwise. Like, I would think maybe I should have to make a decision. If, let's say, I had no family support, I'm not financially capable of taking care of a child, then I would think otherwise. So it's hard for me to answer, because as I said earlier, like, I don't have experience personally, and I haven't been put in that situation. So for me to kind of imagine it is also a little hard. Yeah.
See, this is exactly what I'm saying. Like, some people who think that, like, if abortion was just free access to everyone and girls would just get abortions. No, this was the perfect example. Taz just like went through 100 different scenarios before she even thought about, hey, I'll get an abortion.
Yeah, like I personally don't know if I could.
Right, exactly.
Because like you mentioned earlier, there's so much internal battle you're going to have to go through depending on what you've been through, what you believe. Like, I think I would be in so much guilt.
Economic situation,
Yeah, like so much guilt. And self-hate, all this kind of stuff that would go in my head.
Right.
To make that decision. So to immediately assume that it's easy is like so hypocritical, and a place of such high privilege. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Those people who think that like, oh, I can just have free sex and get like pregnant and it wouldn't matter, I just get an abortion later. It's not it. It's not that easy for people to just say, yes, I would get an abortion. You know, even as for me, if I was to have like sex with someone and I knocked someone up, I wouldn't. It would be impossible for me to say, "Hey, get an abortion." Like, I couldn't do it. I would not be able to say that. I wouldn't be able to force someone to just get the abortion. It's free. We have the right to do it. Just do it. I don't want to ruin my life.
And then that's a good point you bring up. Like, how many partners would then stay with that person to take care of that child, that unwanted child, let's say.
Right.
So like, then it's again left to the woman to support, because she's the one carrying the kid. Yeah. And then like, what's going to happen, right? Like, how many children might grow up without a fatherly figure? Yeah. Right. So it just...
Or how many kids would go up into adoption? How many dead women would you find? Because it might not be successful.
It's not safe. And how many women are going to have to travel to different states? Can they even do that? Do they even have the access to go to different areas just to get an abortion? That's not safe. Yeah. And then the thing about like the power of America, I was just thinking, was like, even if you look at 9/11 and what happened there, Islamophobia never disappeared. In fact, it's gotten worse. Right? And
even here in Korea.
Yeah, people are dying for being Muslim. There's genocide camps in China, schools being shut down. Even in Calgary, there was 2 girls that were beaten up because they were wearing a hijab. Yeah. And that stemmed from America terrorizing
9/11 and the
Middle East, in liberation. Well, that's all it truly was. So I'm like wondering what this will have on the world, right? Because unfortunately, America has so much power.
They have a lot of influence.
Yeah.
They just have so much media influence for everyone.
And yeah, in Korea, people really look up to that.
Yeah.
And they try to become like America in a certain way. So
like if you come and live in Korea for a while, you'll realize how much specifically America has influenced Korea.
They call it's. And like many people, when I ask like where do you want to travel, they're always like the States or Europe. But like States is always like a high one because they really think
that it's just like they're just so influenced by it. They think it's like where you want to be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like not as much right now with all the gun violence and stuff like that. But like it's still one of their top places that they want to go. You know?
Yeah, and move if they had to. I think because the partnerships they have, but. It's so scary.
Yeah. I don't know. I really hope that this doesn't give movement, like you're saying, to the pro-lifers.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to be a whole nother wave of like rough battles that's going to come.
You know what I find really odd? Because remember, so when the mask thing happened, you know how people were marching, mostly white nationalists, about the freedom to choose and choice. Yeah. So like, where the hell did that go? Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
This is also a freedom of choice deal.
Yeah. Like it puts legit woman's body in danger because some of these people were arguing wearing a mask is a health hazard. This is even a bigger freaking health hazard. And where did that all go? Where's that energy? Where's that same freaking energy this?
That is so right. Like I almost forgot about that. How Americans were just complaining about like my freedom of choice for wearing a mask, my rights, and all of a sudden it's like,
actually,
you're gonna abort your kid. Nah, you can't do that. No.
Yeah, sorry, we don't support this kind of choice.
That's not a right. That's not a freedom of right choices now.
Yeah, oh my lord. Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. It really shows you where priorities are at. And
It's crazy to see to see how the system, it goes from a system to then just like, it's not right. I don't know if that makes sense. Like from the top, it's like we want to keep the power, right?
Yeah.
From top, and then it trickles all the way down, and somehow it's like, abortion is bad for your life.
Yeah.
Like it's against life. It's wrong. It's wrong, like morality.
So why was it morally right for the thing with when Trump was there with the Mexican children at the border?
Oh.
And like locking them away, traumatizing them, taking them away from their families. Yeah. It was just...
It's another... He's white. I don't know.
I don't
really know what else to say about
that, to be honest. It's truly a race, class fucking thing about like fueling capitalism and all of that great things and keeping people in power.
I really don't know what else to say. I really don't know what to say about the ex-president Trump for how much just shit that he got away with for being a white male.
That's so true. Even like even the new people coming into positions of power, it's always been white folks with an agenda too. And with Barack Obama, he was kind of used as like, hey, look, we have a black man in power now. Yeah. But still, they're puppets and they still did horrible things, right? So I think it's just an illusion. Like all of this is an illusion for like...
We're in the Matrix. We're in the Matrix. What is it? The blue pill. I want to go back.
How do we change like the code so that it's like different people in power?
Take it off.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know. This is gonna be crazy from now on. I think America is gonna become even more wild. I think.
Yeah. What the.
America is just gonna become more wild, giving me more reason to go.
Not to go back.
Not to go back.
Yeah.
You know?
So you might just stay here.
Just stay in Korea forever. I don't know. It's gonna.
Yeah.
Or I don't
come
know.
to Canada.
Go to Canada. I heard it's not that much better, but
who knows? It might not be.
It might,
It might just become Little America.
Yeah.
Who knows? I hope not.
That's what a lot of people say about Canada, in America.
Canada does try to take pride in not being like Americans, like America, but I think there is still some similarity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Canada's not too far off.
Yeah.
But
we say you're our nice neighbors, like the nicer version of us.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I think
For
Canada's much nicer.
Now. Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't become worse.
Yeah. Okay. I think with that, I think there's a good spot to end the podcast. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming in and like sharing all that information. Sorry, like I felt like I wasn't as prepared as I
it's okay.
wanted to be. But I'm glad that we talked about it and you got your voice out there about this topic as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me again. Yeah, it was really nice.
I really like your perspective on this.
I appreciate it. It's just, honestly, a lot of it was thankfully like from other folks too and their messages and hearing from what they thought too. Yeah,
exactly. I think it's a important topic that we need to continue like bringing up even when it's not like at a peak for like people to talk about. I still think it's something that needs to continue to be brought up in order for something to change,
Yeah, just the basic like women should get the basic human rights, paid the same amount, have a right to their bodies, right? Just as a recap, like women are not that different.
Women are not less than guns.
Yes,
or less than mask.
Yeah, what the? Yes. Yes. Oh.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah. If you guys are enjoying the podcast and the entire series, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, support my coffee addiction.
Yes, please. Maybe he can even get some mics.
Get some mics with those coffee bucks.
Yes.
Yeah. And until next time, goodbye.